Them chimps are imps, there ain't no doubt. Bangers and mash, bangers and mash. I ain't a kidding you, them two keep monkeying about. They do the bangers and mash, bangers and mash. All they want to do is have some fun. They've never been to do no harm, but you can guarantee they'll upset the apple cart, no accidentally. Mash and bangers, clangers come about quite frequently. It's bangers and mash.
Not one, but 2 sequels to Independence Day.
Wow, that's 10 years too late.
Yeah, that's how I felt. And Will Smith isn't going to be in them because he's too expensive for them. But Bill Pullman and Jeff Goldblum will be back.
Yay.
Yeah, who gives a fuck?
I actually knew that they were doing a sequel, but I didn't realize they were doing 2
And do you know what it's going to be called?
I don't know what.
ID Forever.
That's the second one.
That's ID Forever Part 1 and Part 2.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, then the fourth one just needs to be July 4th.
So they should have called it Veterans Day, really, let's face it. Well, that's a good way to start the show. Alright, guys, here's another Nerd Vomit episode. You could call this our post-Comic-Con edition, or the Pacific Rim edition, because that's formed the backbone of our discussion here. Why don't we just dive right into it, huh? Comic-Con was this previous weekend as we're recording this. We're recording this on Monday, the 22nd. Overall, I found it to be kind of a disappointing Comic-Con. Really, the only thing that excited me, obviously we weren't there, I don't think that needs saying. This is all secondhand. The only thing that really excited me was the information about Godzilla, which is quickly becoming one of my most anticipated films of 2014.
You know what really excited me?
What really excited you?
Fucking Batman, Superman.
Batman, Superman is probably the biggest news coming out of Comic-Con. Obviously, it's cool. I'm all about shared universes on screen, so obviously I'm excited.
Well, yeah, they announced it by having somebody come on stage and read the line from Dark Knight Returns.
But I'm the only man to beat you.
They're going to fight.
Batman and Superman are going to be in conflict.
Batman is going to pimp slap the fuck out of Superman with a kryptonite ring.
I said to JJ earlier, when the microphones weren't on, about how I really would have preferred to have seen a standalone Man of Steel sequel first.
Yeah, well, you're wrong.
Warner Brothers is saying the only way we can guarantee this movie is a hit is if we put Batman in it.
Some problems with the Man of Steel movie that were easy fixes. Overall, we seriously enjoyed the film. But
most of my problem with Man of Steel have to do with Zack Snyder directing, and Zack Snyder's coming back for Superman, Batman.
Oh.
Now search begins for the next Batman.
They'll pick some no-name somebody that nobody's going to care about.
Possibly. I mean, that's what Henry Cavill was before this film. Would not shock me in the least if Ryan Gosling ends up being our next Batman.
Yeah, and I would be okay with that. He could pull it off.
He certainly proved that he can do the stoic hero with no problem. I don't know if he would want to be involved in a project like this. The only thing I like about the idea of doing a Batman-Superman movie is that we will probably not have to sit for another Batman origin story.
Probably not. There's some speculation they might possibly also introduce.
He's talking about Wonder Woman, guys.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want
it either.
Introduced in that capacity. From my understanding, they announced that Batman, Superman, that's 2015, Flash in 2016, Justice League in 2017.
Flash and Justice League have not been confirmed.
But we know a Justice League movie is coming, and that's what this is building to.
I feel like that's very plausible rumors.
That we will be getting a solo Flash movie before a solo Wonder Woman movie is disheartening, but not surprising, especially since the head of DC's entertainment department just had an interview a couple weeks back and said that Wonder Woman is a, quote, tricky, unquote, character. That's the same bullshit we've been hearing from the beginning.
Wonder Woman might be a hard character to sell as a standalone film.
Whatever.
I hear you, but it's just, they couldn't even get the Wonder Woman pilot off. And
well, yeah, but that's because it was terrible.
The writing was bad, but it wasn't anything that had to do with the acting. Carrie Ells.
Carrie Oles was in that?
Yeah. But apparently you pronounce his name Carrie Elways.
No, it's Carrie Oles. Don't listen to people who say that. Fucking Wesley from Princess Bride. Anyway, back on topic here. Flash is the only character that I think really needs to be introduced with his own film. The Green Lantern movie was not all that successful. At least that made people aware of who Green Lantern is. Batman and Superman obviously don't need an introduction. As I've said before, Wonder Woman is the third most iconic superhero out of the DCU.
But does Wonder Woman really need to have an origin story, though?
Yes.
I mean, an origin story movie.
Yes! And they have a fucking blueprint. It was the direct-to-video Wonder Woman cartoon they released a few years ago. Take that, make it longer and better, and you have your fucking movie.
Characters like her and Martian Manhunter.
There's no guarantee he'll even be in the Justice League movie. DC will probably, for corporate synergy, want to go for the New 52 version and have Cyborg. And hey, you know what that means? If they
that means I won't go see the fucking movie. That's what that means.
It means that if they have Cyborg in a Justice League movie, they could spin off a Teen Titans film as well.
My whole thing with that is there's only one black guy in the Justice League for me,
and
that's a Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, we've always considered him the token ethnic.
Characters like Martian Manhunter and Wonder Woman. The pilot for the Justice League cartoon, Wonder Woman hadn't been a heard of hero, and she comes in and starts helping out. Martian Manhunter was an alien that was captured by the government, and then Superman rescues him.
They have a blueprint there, and knowing Warner Brothers, they will not use it. Who would you want to see as Batman?
Ryan Gosling sounds like the best choice, and I'm going with Bradley Cooper for the Flash.
I'm not a huge Bradley Cooper fan, but I feel like he would be a good choice for the Flash.
I mean, he looks like Barry Allen.
Flash, as a character himself, is not really somebody that has a lot of personality. Cast somebody like Bradley Cooper, you'd be bringing him out of his built-in charm, that character. I think that would help box office-wise. I'm intrigued to see what they do with the Flash. They've always said that this is going to be a hard character to work on screen in the sense that how can you make his powers look impressive?
Well, I mean, they did Super Speed and Man of Steel, and that looked great.
Yeah, or maybe we will actually see something we haven't seen before with that movie.
I feel like Super Speed could really work.
Who do you want to see direct the Justice League?
Guillermo del Toro?
No, Guillermo del Toro's aesthetic is not really fit. It's fine for Justice League Dark.
You know, honestly, who I think would do good for Justice League, and it's going to seem like an off-the-wall choice, but I really think it would do good.
What?
Peter Jackson.
Well, you could certainly get the epic grandeur of the thing down, but I don't really think Peter Jackson never really shown any interest in superheroes.
He could pull it off.
Honestly, I've said it before and I'll say it again, the Wachowskis. Have you seen Speed Racer? Come on. Imagine the possibilities. I want to see them do a fucking Justice League movie.
They could do it, but
It would make the project way more interesting than it would be otherwise.
They're one of those...
Oh, they're certainly a divisive figures.
Some of their stuff is really good, and some of their stuff is kind of like, what the fuck?
I have enjoyed all of their films except for the Matrix sequels.
The Matrix sequels is what people are going to look at.
Dude, does it even friggin' matter? It's going to be an enormous hit anyway, unless they really fuck it up.
Well, I mean, look at Green Lantern.
Well, that's a good point. The Green Lantern was never as much of a sure deal.
The problem with Green Lantern was bad writing, bad casting, and bad direction.
All of the above. Ryan Reynolds should have been the Flash. Blake Lively was a non-entity. The dude that played Hector Hammond was way over the top. The only person I liked in the movie was Mark Strong as Sinestro.
That was perfect casting.
Yeah, I can't believe we're talking about Green Lantern again, but I think you can sum up the whole movie with the fucking giant green race car.
Really? That's the best you can come up with?
All the problems with that movie can be summed up in that scene. Well, that and the suit was terrible.
I mean, the contracts, the suit...
There's a good movie in there somewhere. It has a lot of potential. And even at the end with the fucking giant parallax cloud... That shit was bad.
And that's the problem, too. It had too much going on for an origin story.
Yeah, they should have saved Parallax for a sequel.
They should have done an origin story that consisted of Hal's origin and Sinestro's origin, and then ended it with those two fighting.
Conceptually, I think the idea of saving Sinestro for a second movie was strong. I don't want to wander too off topic. The point is, Green Lantern wasn't good. It was a problematic film. It was a very disappointing
And
film.
they didn't market it well either. So.
I think WB knew they had a stinker on their hands.
But once they get to people's money, they've got it. So.
That's true. That's obviously the big DC news coming out there, and that news is huge. There was a lot of Marvel news. We now have a name for the Avengers sequel. Avengers Age of Ultron. And when I read that, I just thought, well, that completely contradicts every single thing we know about the movie up to this point.
I watched an interview where they were talking to Kevin Feige, and he said that both Thanos and Ultron are going to be in the movie. Now, that concerns me.
Sequel escalation. 2 villains, and Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are definitely going to be introduced, and maybe Hank Pym.
Yeah, they're going to have to put Hank Pym in there.
And
how can you have Ultron without
Hank Pym? Josh Whedon in an interview said, all new origin for Ultron. Maybe Tony Stark makes Ultron. Maybe Thanos somehow was responsible for the creation of Ultron.
Maybe that's how we're going to get Vision, because I know Vision
is rumored to be in the movie as well. Vin Diesel is rumored.
I don't like that.
I don't see it either. I honestly wish they had gone with the idea of turning Clark Gregg, Agent Coulson, into the Vision. That was a rumor and a really neat idea, and I wish they had followed up on that. He's back somehow. S.H.I.E.L.D., that's something else that's coming up. Are you going to watch it?
Probably going to watch the first couple episodes, get a feel for it, and decide if I'm going to go on from there.
Have you seen the trailer for it?
Yeah, I've seen trailers for it.
It looks pretty
I'm
good.
cautiously optimistic about it.
It's a Josh Whedon TV show.
That's what concerns me.
The guy who played Gunn on Angel is going to be in it. Already you've got part of the Josh Whedon casting agency in there. Well, apparently it's the most expensive TV show in television history.
That's what concerns me. Josh Whedon is doing it.
I think it's well established right now that we have a love-hate relationship with Josh Whedon.
Avengers was awesome.
Avengers was awesome, and there are some great episodes of Buffy and Angel, and especially Firefly. But then again, there are some terrible episodes of Buffy and Angel. A lot of his story-writing decisions, his need to introduce really lovable, likable characters and then fucking kill them.
Did he bring Coulson back just to kill him again?
I doubt that.
Introducing Ming-Na just to kill her off in episode 5.
I hope not, because Ming-Na needs the work. It wouldn't be beyond Josh Whedon to introduce a character in the first episode and then kill him off in episode 3. He's done it before, see Angel Season 1. But other than, there's been some news on Guardians of the Galaxy. Apparently there was a trailer shown that we haven't seen yet, and probably won't see till at least Thor. Who's Rocket Raccoon? And I think at this point they've cast him and they're sitting on it, which makes me wonder, what's the big fucking deal? I've heard rumors, Jim Carrey, Vin Diesel has also been leaked to Rocket Raccoon, though I'm fairly certain it's not him. I maintain that the stake, Jason Statham, the stake, should be Rocket Raccoon. I've maintained that from the beginning.
It needs to be a British or Australian voice. I don't know why.
What does a cartoon raccoon from another planet sound like?
I don't know, I just feel like a British or an Australian accent is needed.
It's going to be a hard sell for the general audience. A lot of people are saying Guardians of the Galaxy is too weird for the mainstream. It probably is, but we'll see. Marvel's works of magic with these characters.
The thing with them is they market it really well.
I'm getting excited for Guardians of the Galaxy. That's another big movie for me next summer. But anyway, let's get back to Godzilla for a little bit more, because I wasn't done talking about it. We've seen what might be the design. I've heard conflicting information on the model we saw that either it is the design or it was an earlier design that they're not using. By the way, I think we have a pretty good idea now of what Godzilla Godzilla's going to look like in the movie.
And he looks like the original Godzilla.
There are some aesthetic differences. He pretty much looks like Godzilla, which is great.
I really like the snaggle teeth. Look sinister. A new age Godzilla needs to look sinister.
Yeah, obviously you can't have goofy Cookie Monster Godzilla. Another thing we're looking forward to is that apparently Godzilla's going to fight a monster. Now, I don't think it's going to be another Toho. It's going to be an original creation, because Toho is really, really strict about licensing their characters. There was rumors of there being a giant centipede, but apparently now that isn't going to be the main threat he fights. I don't want to see him fight that throughout the whole film. I want something a little more interesting than that.
Yeah.
Godzilla is probably number 2 on my list of movies for 2014 as of now.
It was number 1.
New Lucky McKee movie, All Cheerleaders Die, but that's because I'm a huge Lucky McKee fan.
Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic about Godzilla.
Oh, there's still time to screw it up.
I mean, that's one of those movies that could really go either way.
But so far, everything I've seen about it has made me happy.
Yeah.
Director coming off of a film called Monsters. Now, I can't remember, did you see Monsters?
Yeah.
It's not your typical big summer monster movie. That was a character study. Godzilla's obviously going to be a very different, if you'll excuse the pun, beast.
Why can't we have a character study on Godzilla?
I would love that.
Seriously, why can't we?
I've said all along, I never really understood why there were always so much attention paid to the human protagonist. We're all here to see Godzilla. Godzilla's the main character. He's the selling point. I'm going to go ahead and announce it now. A Godzilla series of episodes. Coming next summer. Pink swears.
It's going to take us a while, so bear with us, but it's coming.
The goal was to have the 3rd episode come out around the time the new film is released next year. No guarantees on the show, but hopefully that will go effective. Way further down the list, Comic-Con superhero news. Apparently, Gina Carano is playing Avengelyn. If you don't know what Avengelyn is, I'm not surprised. It's a really, really terrible Robert Liefeld 90s comic about a fallen angel whose superpower is apparently the ability to contort her body and sexually provocative poses, somehow fight people while wearing nothing but a fishnet stocking.
Well, if she would wear that on the screen, then clearly she'd be able to play Wonder Woman.
I don't care about Avengelyn, but I am happy to see Gina Carano is still getting it.
And she's Amazonian, and she should play Wonder Woman.
She certainly would make a fine Wonder Woman.
For the WB producers that definitely listen to this
Are
show,
absolutely listening to this.
Gina Carano for Wonder Woman. You're welcome.
I know the DC Women Kick-Ass Tumblr has made it known that they don't think Gina Carano is a good enough actress to be Wonder Woman. I'm not sure if she is either. She's not a great dramatic actress, but I really feel like you're not going to find a better fit for the character than her. Because Hollywood certainly is short on strong, tough, beautiful women that could actually beat up a man.
And Gina Carano can do that, and has done that on several occasions.
Speaking of her, apparently on his Twitter, Sylvester Stallone said he wants her for Expendables 3.
If that happens, then she'll be a shoo-in for Wonder Woman.
Here's what we know. Wesley Snipes is in the movie. Jackie Chan is in the movie. Jet Li is back. Mel Gibson is in the movie.
Does Wesley Snipes reprise his role from Demolition Man?
Probably not.
Because that would be fucking amazing.
And up until recently, it was expected that Nick Cage would be in the movie, but apparently he's no longer attached, which really disappoints me. Because from the beginning, I wanted crazy Nick Cage as the villain of the movie. We talk a lot about Nick Cage on these Nerd Vomits too, don't we?
Yeah, let's move on.
Before we move on, who else would you want to see in Expendables 3, besides the names I named? Oh, and Mila Jovovich, too, is going to be in it.
Fuck her.
I know she's the only bankable female action star, but I really don't like her.
Our luck, she'll be the one to play Wonder Woman.
Anyway, is there anybody who would want to see in Expendables 3, or 3 Spendables, as I'm hoping it's called? Really, the only person I want to see added that I think actually has a chance of getting in there is Michelle Yeoh. Especially if Sly wants female action heroes, and then you could have Jackie Chan, Jet Li, and Michelle Yeoh on screen together. The 3 biggest Hong Kong stars of the 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, Michelle Yeoh definitely needs to be in there.
Kirk Russell would be great, but apparently he's not interested. There's been rumors that Seagal could be in the movie, and just for the record, I don't even like Steven Seagal. He's the last superstar of that era, and they need to get him in there.
Bring Brandon Lee back from the dead and put him in there.
Well, if you're going to bring Brandon Lee back from the dead for the purpose of Expendables 3, bring Bruce Lee and Charles Bronson along with him.
Amen. About Danny Glover.
Mel Gibson's in the movie. I would love to see Danny Glover, and that would be cool.
What if they were partners in crime instead of partners in law?
The rumor is that Mel's going to be the villain, because apparently Mel is such an asshole in real life that he can only play bad guys on screen from now on. My dream was that Carl Weathers, Mr. T, and Hulk Hogan in the movie, just so they could have a Rocky reunion.
And fuck it, Carrie Oles.
This is the Carrie Oles edition of the Bangers and Mash show.
Carrie Oles could be a great comic relief, though. He's done Princess Bride, he's done...
Yeah, what else has he done?
He's done Men in Tights.
He's the only Robin Hood that can speak with an actual British accent.
That is true.
Anyway, the point is, yeah, I'm excited. I'm a whore for these movies. Bring on Expendables 3. Bring on Expendables...
Michael Keaton.
There's a new movie coming out next year called Birdman. And when I first read that, I was like, are we talking Harvey Birdman? Hanna-Barbera's superhero Birdman? But no, apparently it's a movie about the making of a superhero movie called Birdman. It's going to be a goof on Michael Keaton's career. Whole joke, he played a superhero movie in the early 90s, and since then his career's in the shitter, and they're doing a new version of that hero, and he's trying to get on the production of the film. I'm actually looking forward to that film. It sounds kind of awesome.
Yeah, that does sound kind of awesome, actually. Harrison Ford.
Sly wanted both Clint Eastwood and Harrison Ford, even if they got through to their agents. Both of them probably said, no, we're too old for that shit.
They don't really have to do anything, but they can play the dad of Sylvester Stallone.
I think they're pretty much the same age, man.
They look significantly older. That's the point. That looks old enough that they can pull it off.
Apparently he fathered him when he was 10 years old.
Sure, why not?
It's possible. We need to move on. We spent a half an hour talking about this shit. The other big thing at Comic-Con, we haven't talked about it on the show yet, but I'm a big toy collector, and JD is to a lesser extent. And there was some toy news. NECA is doing Alien figures. They showed off a prototype of the cat, Jonesy. And the big question is, are they going to do a Ripley figure? I can't imagine them getting the Alien license and not doing a Ripley.
They need to do a Ripley.
The only problem is that apparently Sigourney Weaver has an issue to deal with. She doesn't want any guns included with any of the toys.
But she doesn't have to have
And
guns.
if they do a figure of her from the first movie, they can get around that, especially if they just include Jonesy and, like, the cat carrier. I'd buy that figure. I'd buy it.
What if they were to do a figure?
They could package her with a flamethrower that gets around the no gun. If they do that, that will probably be the last alien-related thing I buy from NECA.
What if they come out with a Ripley in the mech?
Well, then I will get that. I'm not holding my breath. There's a lot of controversy. They're inserting an original Marine into the Aliens line. He's based off the head sculptor's brother, who has cancer. A lot of fans are losing their shit over this. The only figure I wanted from that line was the Hudson, which I'm going to get whenever I get it. But I understand my fans are pissed. If they had released it as a standalone thing, I think that would have been fine. Having that be the Marine for the second wave is kind of bullshit. I can understand why people are upset, though some of the rage has been perhaps a little over the top.
I maintain that it's probably going to turn into something like, hey, if you guys buy this figure, 90% of the proceeds go to...
Well, that's what people are assuming, though. They haven't actually announced that yet, which is also making some people angry.
That's what it's going to be.
I can't imagine they wouldn't do that. For the last couple of years, Diamond Select has done a series of Universal Monster toys, and I've really enjoyed them. They haven't always been screen accurate, but I like them. And this year we're getting Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde from Abbott and Costello meet Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and that's the first time we're getting toys in that movie, as well as Hunchback of Notre Dame and the Mole People. Comic-Con, they showed off the figures for next year. Now, we already knew that Son of Frankenstein, which I will be getting, was coming, as well as a new, more screen-accurate Creature from the Black Lagoon. But they showed off what the third character is going to be, and it's Van Helsing. It's not Edward von Sloan Van Helsing from Dracula 1931. It's not even Hugh Jackman Van Helsing.
It's not even Anthony Hopkins Van Helsing.
It's an original design of Van Helsing. If this was original horror character line, that would be fine. But for a line based off of characters from the Universal Monster movies, it's super lame. I'm kind of pissed off that it's an original Van Helsing and not one of the other of hundreds of characters they could have done that actually appeared in the real movies. Very few people probably give a shit about that. It was a big disappointment for me, and overall, Comic-Con was kind of soft this year, I gotta say. There were some big announcements, but even the big announcements brought some reservations.
What if?
And also they announced, they didn't show off any prototypes, which was disappointing. They announced they had the Planet of the Apes license, which is cool. I will definitely be getting some Apes. Yeah, they have it both for Classic Series and the new one.
You know what I like most about the new Ape series?
What's that?
It's going in actual order.
Yeah, they're not jumping around.
They're actually trying to maintain a continuity.
The original series, they made it up as they went along.
If you wanted to actually watch the movies in order, you needed to watch it like
3,
4,
5, 1, and 2.
or some shit like that, yeah.
And they don't even ask me where the TV show fits in. Time travel, man. Oh, we didn't talk about Days of Future Past.
We forgot about that.
We got to see a Sentinel head. Looks like a Sentinel to me. It has the same outline.
Although I did hear something that's going to piss you off.
What's that?
Kitty Pryde is not the one that goes back.
I don't care. I just care that Kitty Pryde's in the movie, and that she's played by Ellen Page. That's all I care. Have we talked about the fact that I'm a massive Ellen Page fan? Has that come up yet?
It has now.
Okay, if you're listening, Ellen.
More like an Ellen Page stalker.
I'm not a stalker. She had a real stalker that's no death threats. I'm definitely not that. I'm definitely not that person. We need to find some excuse to talk about Hard Candy on the show. I love that movie, and I love Ellen in that movie. You seen it?
No.
Damn, I need to make you watch Hard Candy. Anyway, and then they've confirmed that they cast a giant black man. And big surprise, the giant black man is playing Bishop. In fact, they even showed a picture of him. We got to see pictures of Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart in black leather post-apocalyptic outfits. I'm actually getting kind of interested in Days of Future Past.
I want to know how they're going to bring Phoenix back. Or Famke, as I like to call
Well, she's in the Wolverine. Appears to be just flashbacks, but we don't know that yet.
I don't think she's actually in the Wolverine. I think it's just Ghost of the Past thing.
Logan is having post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Maybe the Phoenix comes back to life and is sending him telepathic images. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
but
shit, man. I am excited for Days of Future Past. I liked First Class. And I think a lot of the people who bitched about the continuity issues in that movie, they're going to fix it with the whole time travel thing.
That's what Bryan Singer said he's going to try to do. Without saying it, he has said that he's going to completely retcon 3.
I think a lot of people would be happy with that. I, for one, enjoy X-Men 3.
Okay, it is an enjoyable movie.
But a lot of people have a lot of problems with that film.
But there are a lot of problems with that film.
No doubt, agreed.
Zach and I are very split on this film. We're not going to go into details because we've already talked about this on one previous...
Actually, we didn't because it got cut out because Audacity farted.
Oh, well, in that case, let me say a few words on on X-Men 3. It's it.
That's an Orville simplification.
It is.
How can you hate any movie that actually has the Juggernaut say, I'm the Juggernaut, bitch?
That's cool. They killed Professor X.
Well, obviously he's back in this one.
They somehow bring him back.
Time travel, bitch.
The whole Phoenix storyline really should have been saved for its own separate movie.
Agreed.
They tried to fit too much into that movie.
Agreed.
The image that Bryan Singer had for the way that the Phoenix story arc was being established first. I would have much rather have seen that. And if I ever get to meet the guy, I'm going to ask him, how did you intend for the Phoenix Saga to conclude? And that's going to be the first question I ever ask Bryan Singer if I ever get to meet him.
Second question is, why did you make a movie where Tom Cruise wears an eye patch? Anyway.
Well, he did make that movie, didn't he?
Yeah, everybody else forgotten about it too.
I have forgotten about Valkyrie.
It wasn't a very good film. Anyway.
It wasn't, but yes, that would probably be the second question.
Get those nerds! Nerd! Nerd!
Are we done with Comic-Con?
Yeah, let's move on to Pacific Rim.
A week ago, we saw Pacific Rim. It's interesting. At the beginning of the year, that was my number one film. As summer went on, it's not that I forgot about it, but it seemed like there was a lot less information about it. So my anticipation dried up a bit. I feel like that was good. Because the finished film, it's not a great film, but it is a very good film, and it's a very fun movie. Had this movie been made in 1986, it would have been the biggest hit of the year. But in the modern blockbuster climate, there's no stars in it. It's an original property. Well, almost an original property.
Yeah.
There was so much focus on the film's box office performance that the film itself actually got overlooked to a degree. I liked it quite a bit.
I enjoyed it. It was a great film, in my opinion.
If you want to see a giant fucking robot rocket punch a giant fucking monster in the face, this is your ticket. Things I really, really liked about the movie. For me, and for my co-host here, there were two very distinct, different oh shit moments. For me, the oh shit moment was, it can fly. For my co-host, I believe the oh shit moment was, it's got a sword.
Maybe.
There's
an oh shit moment. It has you on the edge of your seat.
How are the Duke boys going to get out of this one?
Part where this, little girl version of, I can't remember her name.
Riko Kikuchi is the actress's name or something like that?
But it's like Mika...
Yeah, Miko, I believe, is the character.
Mika.
The Japanese chick from Babel.
Tiny Miko is hiding behind this dumpster, and this kaiju is going after her hardcore.
The Doom Crab, as I like to call it.
He's basically the sea monster from Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster.
But way scarier.
But he doesn't bat rocks back at people. He's sitting there clawing at her, and it legitimately scares you. You're sitting on the edge of your seat. How does she get out of this? And then lo and behold, here comes Idris Elba.
The brown chocolate god, Idris Elba.
Comes down and just pimp slaps the hell out of this thing.
For me, the things I really liked about the movie, beyond the giant robot kaiju fights, which were clearly the selling point here, honestly, how did the studio screw that up? How is giant robots versus giant monsters anything but a huge hit? Anyway, I really liked the world it creates. There's a building made out of the bones of one of the kaijus, which is a really cool moment. There's this whole black market selling organs and nails. There is the most Guillermo del Toro shot in all of Guillermo del Toro's career in this film, where a character walks through a cascading series of walls. Each of the walls are shelves, and on each shelves, a bunch of creatures floating in jars of green goo. There is quite a bit of giant gears and a sequence underground, a sequence involving a young child. So all the Guillermo del Toro sweet spots are hit. I really like Charlie Day's character, the scientist that's trying to connect with the kaiju, and he has kaiju tattoos all up and down his arms.
This is the first time in a kaiju movie that the human element wasn't overly annoying.
You actually care about the human characters.
Yeah, like you actually care about the human characters.
The Miko character, Riko Kikuchi, so I'm probably saying that name incorrectly. I liked her character a lot, and I like how her and the lead character have a romantic relationship that is not explicitly romantic. There are two pilots piloting each robot. One controls the left hemisphere of the brain, the other controls the right hemisphere of the brain. And they have to basically mind meld, and they have to bond on an emotional connection to properly pilot the robot, which is an interesting plot device and a good way to get the two characters together. And everything involving the kaijus was awesome. I loved the designs of the creature, I love how they move. The thing I didn't like about the movie was the lead character is the least interesting character in the whole film.
So what?
If the lead guy kind of dragged the whole thing down. If the film had been about Miko and Idris Elba, it would have been a lot more interesting.
Well, yeah.
Those characters more interesting than boring McProtagonists.
Let's go into serious knots here.
Okay, this is a nerd movie, and there are a lot of callbacks to kaiju films and giant robot films and giant robot anime.
Biggest one, Evangelion.
There are several Evangelion callbacks. The two pilots put on these special suits. They don't call them plug suits, but that's what they are. They don't go inside of an entry plug, but they go inside the robot's head, which is then shot down into the robot, and instead of merging with the souls inside of the giant robots, the pilots merge with each other.
Yeah.
At the end of the film, there's a scene of a robot in a crucifixion pose. That is so blatant. Guillermo del Toro looked at the special effects guy and said, "Put the robot in the fucking crucifixion pose! Do it!" Guillermo del Toro is Italian in my head. This is as close as we're ever going to get to an Ava movie.
Yeah.
If this is the American version of the Ava movie, this is the best case scenario. If they made it, they would have made the characters adults. They wouldn't be teenagers. They'd move the story to America. It wouldn't be set in Japan. All the weird religious mythology and symbolism would be ejected. All the weird Freudian psychological issues would would be lessened to a great degree. So that's obvious. There's a rocket punch. It's not quite a Majin rocket punch.
Well, they call it rocket elbow.
That was a pretty awesome moment. An early scene, and I did a literal thumbs up in the theater when this happened, a robot's chest opens up and there's a bunch of cannons and rocket launchers. I'm pretty sure that was a Big O reference.
It was so anime, nonetheless.
Yeah, even if it wasn't a direct reference to Big O, it was definitely inspired by any robot anime of the past.
Let's talk about some of the kaiju. There's one that is basically a blatant ripoff.
The first kaiju you see in the movie is called Knifehead. Has a literal giant knife for a head, and he is obviously inspired by, I believe the character is named Guron?
Galron.
The Gamera villain. In the middle section, when you have 4 Jaegers, those are what the giant robots are called, they're fighting one kaiju, and then a second kaiju jumps out of the water, and from that point on, the movie is awesome. In fact, that's actually maybe the film's biggest problem, is it peaks in the middle. That battle in Hong Kong between the Jaegers and the kaiju is so awesome that the movie never really gets to that level again. Kaiju lifts the Jaeger up into the sky, and then it chops it in half with the sword. The movie never really tops that. Getting hit in the head with a fucking battleship and tossed around. And
They double tap.
That was amazing. The one kaiju that's called Leatherback is a literal Godzilla.
You want to explain that to him?
Godzilla's Japanese name, Gojira, is a combination of the Japanese word for gorilla and the Japanese word for whale. This creature is a whale gorilla. There's no way that wasn't intentional.
What did you call this thing?
I believe I called it the Cloverfield Xenomorph Rodan.
Which is about the best description you can come up with for this thing.
That one's my favorite kaiju.
Because it starts off like a water dragon.
The way it looks and the way it moves is very reminiscent of Cloverfield. Xenomorph elements come from the fact that it has a tongue. It's not a mouth, but they're like little feelers on the end, and it spits acid.
And it also has a razor tail.
And that shit's awesome, but then it has wings!
Just when you think they've beat it down, this thing rears up and roars and spreads its wings and soars off into the sky. Its kaiju designs were awesome.
I love the kaiju in this movie.
Very clear nods to other kaiju movies.
Oh, yeah.
But different enough that it's something we've never seen.
And speaking of blatant references, the kaiju final boss of the film looks like Cthulhu. Before it shows up, a very familiar sounding musical theme plays on the soundtrack.
Once it roars...
Yeah, it has the Chironk. Like I said, the movie's biggest problem is that it's never as awesome as it is at the halfway point. We really like Pacific Rim. Guillermo del Toro hasn't made a bad movie yet. And to compare him to Michael Bay, it's so obvious the difference is here's a filmmaker who actually knows what the hell he's doing.
With giant robots.
And then here's a dude who doesn't know his asshole from a hole in the ground.
Guillermo del Toro needs to do Transformers.
No, he really needs to be working with original properties. He's an auteur.
He's talking about writing the Justice League Dark movie. I'm really hoping that he gets that up and running, because I would like to see Santana on the big screen.
Well, that's a superhero property that fits his aesthetic. How many of his films have you seen?
Hellboy, Hellboy 2...
Okay, have you seen Kronos?
No.
You need to see Kronos. Have you seen Mimic?
Yes, I've seen Mimic. Everybody's seen Mimic.
Mimic's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. It's his worst film, but it's still pretty good. Well, you've seen Blade 2, and I believe we've talked about it on the show.
Yeah.
Pretty good film. We're fans of Blade 2. It's a divisive movie. Have you seen The Devil's Backbone?
No, but I've seen Pan's Labyrinth.
You need to see The Devil's Backbone. If you like Pan's Labyrinth, you'll like The Devil's Backbone. Did you like Pan's Labyrinth?
It was interesting.
It's a great film.
Good film. It's not really my cup of tea. So
It's subtitled.
I don't go to movies to read.
But if that movie had been in English, would you have liked it more?
Well, yeah. The visual atmosphere of his movies is consistent.
Dark blues and swampy greens. Clockwork stuff. Pacific Rim is a nerd movie, though. It's meant to be a reference, a callback to these past things that only nerds know about, like Godzilla and Ultraman and Evangelion.
Don't be afraid of the dark.
He only wrote Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. He didn't direct it.
Well, that counts.
It is very much his film, and I feel like a lot of people have suggested, like Spielberg and Poltergeist, where Tobe Hooper actually directed it, but the influence of the producer is so strong and obvious that it's kind of an honorary film.
Don't Be Afraid of the Dark has Guillermo del Toro all over it.
I'm a big fan of that movie. I feel like it's underrated.
The tooth fairies, or whatever they are, eat teeth.
Which he also did in Hellboy 2.
Somebody told him that if he didn't brush his teeth, the tooth fairy was going to come and eat his teeth.
I bet they did. Because there's a lot of stuff about childhood in his movies. It's also about children exploring worlds that are too dark for them to really understand. We enjoyed it, and I wish the movie had been more successful. I maintain that if they did it in 1987 with stop-motion robots, it probably would have been a huge hit. Anyway.
Today, at the edge of our hope, at the end of our time, we have chosen not only to believe in ourselves, but in each other. Today, there's not a man nor woman in here that shall stand alone. Today, we face the monsters that are at our door. Today, we are canceling the apocalypse.
Are you saw a recent film just 2 nights ago.
Oh, The Conjuring?
Yeah, The Conjuring is sort of the big horror movie of the second half of the summer.
Before I get started, I just want to say, spoiler alert, just in case.
Well, don't spoil too much, because I intend on seeing the movie eventually.
Was it the best horror movie ever made? No. But it's the first ghost movie that we've had in a long time that actually tried to scare you. Legitimately creepy. Did have an overabundance of jump scares.
Which I hate.
It pisses me off even more when people shut the bathroom mirror and there's nothing there, and then they open it again and then they shut it. Hear that boom.
Oh, I fucking hate that. Is there a lot of that in this film?
No, there's none of that actually.
Okay, good.
There is some pretty good atmosphere. Is it overly scary? Not so much, but it is creepy. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. It does some things well. And there are a few jump scares that actually made... There was about 5 guys in the theater that actually screamed.
Yeah, you saw this on a weekend. Were there a lot of screaming teenage girls present?
No.
Oh, thank God. Well, what didn't you like about it?
It drags a little bit. Slow start.
How long is the movie?
An hour and 45. Things that I liked was the usage of Lorraine Warren's ability. The way that they show her seeing things.
In real life, she claims to be psychic.
Yes, in real life she claims to be psychic. Some of her live stuff. Some of it's pretty believable, some of it's not so much.
I think it's well noted that I'm a skeptic of all of these things.
And I'm not so much a skeptic.
Anybody who claims to be psychic or speak with that is full of shit and just wants your money.
What if they don't ask you for money?
If they're not asking for your money, they're at least a good spirit delusional person, as opposed to a greedy delusional person.
Anyhow, Zach the skeptic. But anyhow, the way that they do this thing of where she sees things, but no one else sees them and stuff like that.
Well, you see that in the trailer with the dead body hanging off the tree and everything.
Well, speaking about that scene,
okay,
to give you an idea of the atmosphere they try to set up.
Okay,
she's walking around the house, getting a feeling for things, and she walks out to this pond. This really creepy tree sits there in front of the pond. She walks down to the beach of the pond and is looking into it. Her husband comes down,
who is played by Patrick Wilson.
Who's played by Patrick Wilson, I guess.
Getting back to Hard Candy, he was also Night Owl in Watchmen.
That's where I recognized him from. He's talking, but you don't really hear what he's saying because he's getting a vision. All you hear is this rope creaking. That's all you hear is this creak, creak. She turns around, and as she looks at him, you see these feet dangling.
Well, shit, JD, I think you just sold me on the film.
They do some pretty nifty shit in this movie.
Alright. I'm very burnt out on modern ghost movies, and I'm not a real big fan on based on true events movies. However, I am a sucker for old-fashioned haunted house stories. And when I say old-fashioned, I mean pre-1970s. And if this film is invoking that spirit like the others did back in the day, would you say that that's comparison there?
It's a pretty decent movie.
A lot of people were saying it's very scary. I'm very split on James Wan. I enjoy the first Saw film. In fact, I enjoyed the first 4 Saw films, not because they're great movies, but because the gore is really, really cool. Dead Silence was kind of shitty, especially the ending. Death Sentence was way too long. Insidious was about half a good movie. He seems to be getting better as a filmmaker with each progressive film. And I already know that there's a creepy doll in this, which is, you can see in everyone.
Yeah, but there's not a lot of focus on it. There is one little cool prop that they have, and I won't go into too much detail on it because I don't want to spoil anything.
Okay.
It's a music box, and you turn the key and you lift up the lid, and it has this mirror, and the mirror has one of those mesmerizing spirals on it.
Okay.
This thing spins, and you can't really get a good, clear view of what's behind this person in the mirror.
I bet that's going to be important later. You'd recommend The Conjuring?
I would recommend it if you're a pretty good horror fan and you want to go see something in theaters that doesn't totally blow.
Is there anything else you want to talk about here on our Nerd Vomit episode? Or?
Should we also talk about some of the animated stuff that's going on right now, like Beware the Batman and Avengers Assemble?
Okay, so Beware the Batman. We talked about it a little bit all the way back in September of last year on our Batman episode, but how is Beware the Batman? Does it blow or is it awesome?
Interesting. The storyline is pretty strong. However, the animation almost takes away from...
I don't really like the CGI style, no. I didn't like it when they did it for Green Lantern.
With Green Lantern, it worked. Doing a lot of flying around, there wasn't a lot of running. The actual character design wasn't bad in Green Lantern. Yeah, it was a little bland, didn't have a whole lot of texture to it.
What I've seen of Beware the Batman character design-wise is pretty shitty.
They've got really thin legs and really bulky upper bodies.
Yeah.
And the animation is clunky.
I feel like the character designs would work fine in 2D, but in 3D, it becomes a problem.
They look top-heavy.
Is Alfred still packing heat?
This is the 5th British accent.
It's always been British.
This is the 5th different British accent.
So he's not Cockney Michael Caine Alfred.
No. He has a British mercenary.
British mercenary. Okay, that's different.
I don't like it.
What about Katana? Katana is the sidekick in this.
She hasn't really done anything yet. They introduced her at the end of the first episode. In episode 2, she's not happy with the position she's in because it's too cushiony. She is used to doing, I guess, black ops jobs or whatever. But she hasn't really presented herself as Katana.
A lot of people were complaining, "Whoa, where's Robin?" But honestly, I'm fine with them using a character like Katana.
Katana's canon.
I like her. I'm a fan of The Outsider, so that's fine.
That's what I have to say about that, is that I really don't like the animation.
What about Professor Pig?
It's Professor Pig, dude.
He's a really weird character, so I'm kind of surprised to see him
But
in a kids' cartoon.
it was Professor Pig and Mr. Toad in the first episode.
Yeah, he's a Grant Morrison character, so it's weird to see him in a kids' show.
In the second episode, it was Magpie.
Oh God, does Magpie have the crazy mohawk?
No.
Thank God.
She has shoulder-length white hair, feathered shoulders. For some reason, her nails grow.
Okay, that's different. Magpie wasn't a bad character, but she had one of the worst costumes ever. Go ahead and talk about Avengers Assemble, which is replacing the much-beloved Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Like Earth's Mightiest Heroes, they were introducing a lot of obscure characters.
When it got canceled, you mean?
Yeah, when it got canceled. They introduced Black Panther, which I guess really isn't that obscure, but more obscure than Iron Man.
Considering Black Panther might be in Avengers too, we don't know yet. Anyway, but what's Avengers Assemble like?
It's got great animation. It's made by the same studio that does Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Storyline's pretty strong.
Is it better than Ultimate Spider-Man?
Define better than Ultimate Spider-Man, because I really like Ultimate Spider-Man.
Most people don't. Ultimate Spider-Man is widely disliked.
I like it. Anyhow, there are some issues. The voice acting in Earth's Mightiest Heroes was a lot better, and I think that takes away from the very obvious strengths that Avengers Assemble has. Now, some cool things they've done is they've actually managed to put in the Midgard Serpent.
Jormonger, or whatever it's called.
Well, they called it the Midgard Serpent.
Okay.
The Avengers versus Dracula.
Yeah, you were telling me about that. That sounds interesting.
That was pretty cool.
Apparently, it isn't 70s Tomb of Dracula pencil mustache.
It's modern Marvel Dracula.
Oh man, we didn't talk about Batman 66 at Comic-Con.
Okay, we can talk.
Going back to toy news, we knew that Mattel was doing a line of toys for Batman 66. And we've seen pictures before, but I think this is the first time JD's seen it. I'm really excited about that. I mean, we're getting Adam West as Batman figure, Burt Ward as Robin, Julie Newmar as Catwoman, Penguin, Riddler, Joker, and then Surf Party Batman.
Surf Party Batman.
Yeah, that's really cool. And then the NECA is doing 18-inch versions of Adam West and Michael Keaton. Apparently they've announced that they're doing a Heath Ledger Joker, which is cool for some people. It makes me wonder where the fuck is Jack Nicholson as Joker. I don't have the money or the space for either of the 18-inch Batmans, but I want them.
I'm torn, but I think I'm going to go with Michael Keaton, 18-inch.
Since we're going to be getting the 6-inch Mattel figures.
Yeah.
Anyway, is there anything else you want to say? I mean, I interrupted you about Avengers Assemble. You want to talk about that some more?
No, I mean, I think I pretty much said. Strong animation, strong story, but voice acting is a little... It's still early on.
I think that's going to wrap up this Nerd Vomit edition.
Nerd Day,
the 13th, Part 4, the Final Vomit. And this is going to be the last Nerd Vomit for the summer. I know when I listen to podcasts, I prefer the episodes to be themed. But I don't know, maybe people like the looser episodes better, I don't know. Our fan base, if it exists, doesn't talk to us. Themed episodes from now on to the end of the year, should everything go according to plan. If you feel the need to email us, you may contact us at bangersnmash88@yahoo.com. That's the word bangers, the letter N, the word mash, numbers 88 at yahoo.com. We have a Facebook page. The verdict is still out on the Wiener Skull.
Please vote no on the Wiener Skull.
The verdict is still out on the Wiener Skull, and that's all I'll say about that. So definitely like us, and then, hey, comment on the YouTube feed if you wanna. I think that'll wrap it up for Nerd Day the 13th, Part 4, the Final Vomit. I am Mr. Bangers, a.k.a. Zach.
I am Mr. Mash, a.k.a. JD.
Hang loose.
See you next August.
Hopefully we'll get an episode out before then.